The licensure examination for teachers is perhaps the most participated professional exam in the Philippines. Here are some facts about the LET exam in the Philippines. To pass the exam, an examinee must obtain an average rating of not less than 75% and must have no rating of lower than 50% in any of the tests. Let's take a look at the facts about the assessment results last year. In the recent LET conducted last September 2019, only 31.30% of elementary teachers and 39.68% successfully passed the LET in September 2019. In March 2019 administration, only 27.28% of elementary teachers and 25.95% passed the LET in March. To be successful in the upcoming LET exam in March 29, 2020, it's really important that you know the test coverage of the exam. For elementary level, 40% is Gen Ed and 60% is Professional Ed. For secondary level, 20% is Gen Ed, 40% Professional Ed, and 40% Area of Specialization. For the general education coverage, it's the same for both elementary level and secondary level. And this covers English, Filipino, science, social sciences, and of course mathematics that covers these areas. Fundamentals of math, plane geometry, elementary algebra, statistics and probability. For the Gen Ed exam, calculator is no longer allowed. For this video tutorial to be effective, I will be using this format. 1. I will flash each question for 10 seconds, and you may pause the video whenever you want to try out the problem. Next, I will explain each and give you some strategies on how to deal with specific questions. Are you ready? Here we go. Question number 11. What is the value of 12 and 1/6 minus 3 and 3/8 minus 5 and 2/3 plus 20 and 3/4? I think the best strategy to answer this expression is by estimating. So if you combine 12 and 1/6 and 20 and 3/4, what do you think is the answer for those two numbers? 12 and 20, that's 32. That means if you combine these two, that's approximately 33, right? Now, if we combine the two negatives, negative 3 and 3/8, and negative 5 and 2/3, that will be a negative approximately negative 9. So that means we're expecting that the answer is approximately 24. So I'm almost 99% sure that the answer here is 23 and 7/8. Now let's simplify this expression using the concepts of least common denominator, or the LCD. 6, 8, 3, and 4. So the LCD for this will be 24. 24 can be divided by 6, 8, 3, and 4, and that's the smallest number. So the first step is to change each of these fraction with denominator of 24. So that means the first fraction needs to be multiplied by 4. So this will be 4 over 24. The second fraction, 3/8, we need to multiply by 3 to get that to 24. So we have 9 over 24. The third fraction needs to be multiplied by 8. So we have minus 5, and that will be 16 over 24. The fourth fraction needs to be multiplied by 6. So we have 20 and 18 over 24. The easiest method to simplify this expression now is combining first the both positive fractions. So 12 and 20 is 32. If you add 4 24ths and 18 24ths, that is 22 over 24. Now I will also combine the two negative fractions. If I combine these two fractions, that will give me negative 8 and 25 over 24, because I need to add 9 and 16ths. Simplifying the second fraction further, 25 over 24 is 1 and 1 over 24. So I will rewrite this now as minus 9 and 1 over 24. Copying the first fraction, we have 32 over 22 over 24. Now we can simplify it. We can subtract 1 24ths from 22 over 24. That is 21 over 24. Subtracting the two whole numbers, 32 minus 9 is 23. Do you notice anything? Yeah, so we can simplify the fraction 21 over 24 by dividing this by 3, or you're reducing the fraction. So the answer is 23, and 21 over 3 is 7. 24 over 3 is 8. So the answer is 23 and 7/8. And that is correct. Our prediction based on the estimation is correct. Question number 12. The vertex angle of an isosceles triangle is 20 degrees. What is the measure of one of the base angles? So a couple of things. Conceptually, you need to understand what an isosceles triangle is. So when we say isosceles triangle, this means that the two sides are congruent. So these two sides of the triangle are called the legs, and these two sides are equal. Now, which one is the vertex angle? The vertex angle is this angle right here, and that's going to be 20 degrees. These two angles are called the base angles, and these two angles will be equal. Now, a triangle has how many degrees in all? 180 degrees, right? So now we need to subtract 180 minus 20. That is 160 degrees. That means the sum of these two base angles is 160, and they're equal. So what do we do with 160? Divide by 2, right? So that means that each angle here would be 80 degrees. Again, when we say isosceles triangle, that is a triangle with two sides congruent, called the legs. That means also that the base angles are congruent or equal. Another important thing that you need to remember is that when you add the three angles of any triangle, it should always be 180 degrees. That is why we subtracted 180 minus 20, that's 160. And then we split up 160 between the two base angles. So 80 plus 80 is 160 plus 20, that gives us 180 degrees. Question number 13. Anna and Beth do a job together in 3 hours. Working alone, Anna does the job in 5 hours. How long will it take Beth to do the job alone? We need to set up an equation to solve this work problem. For Anna, we know that working alone, she can finish the job in 5 hours. So if she works for an hour, that means she can complete 1/5 of the job. For Beth, we don't know the time it takes her to finish the job alone, so we will use x. If Beth works for an hour, then we can put 1 over x for her. And working together for an hour, that means they can complete 1/3 of the job. Solving equations like this with denominators 5 and 3 and x, we simply multiply the denominators 5, x, and 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, times x is 15x. That means we need to multiply each of the fraction by 15x. So 15x times 1 is 15x. 15x divided by 5 is 3x. Plus 15x times 1 is 15x. Divided by x is 15. 15x times 1 is 15x. Divided by 3, we have 5x. Solving for x, we subtract 3x to both sides. So now we have 15 is equal to 5x minus 3x is 2x. Now we divide by 2, so that means that it is 7.5. So Beth can do the job alone in 7.5 hours. Question number 14. How much greater is the sum of the first 50 counting numbers greater than the sum of the first 100 counting numbers? I think that this math problem from the Math PRC release question is poorly constructed. What you're trying to ask in this problem is to compare the sum of the first 100 counting numbers with the sum of the first 50 counting numbers. To find the difference between these two sums, we're simply getting the sum of the numbers from 51 up to 100. The reason for that is for the first set, sum of the first 50 counting numbers, that means that's 1 all the way up to 50. For the sum of the first 100 counting numbers, that's 1 through 50. And then we also need to include 51 all the way to 100. So we need to find the sum of the numbers from 51 to 100. And that is an arithmetic sequence because the number increases by 1 each time. So to find the sum of an arithmetic sequence, we need to use the formula n over 2, a sub 1 plus a sub n. In this arithmetic sequence 51 to 100, this means that n is 50 because there's 50 terms. A sub 1 is the first term, so we have 51. A sub n is the last term, which is 100. Simplify it. 50 divided by 2 is 25. 51 plus 100 is 151. So now we need to multiply 151 times 25. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry 2. 5 times 1, 5 plus 2 is 7. Now we need to multiply with 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry 1, so this will be 3. So the answer is 5773. So the sum of these numbers 51 to 100 is 3775. And that is letter B. So now make sure that you memorize the formula for the sum of arithmetic sequence n over 2, a sub 1 plus a sub n. Question number 15. Which of the following has the largest value? In this question, we can use the process of elimination by comparing the bases and the exponents as well. So first, let's take a look at options A and C. Do you notice anything? Both choices have the same exponents of 5, but choice A has a bigger base of 8 compared to 6. That's why C now is eliminated. Now looking at options B and D. Option D is the same thing as 3 squared because that's the 9 to the 4th power. And using the laws of exponents, this is the same thing as 3 to the 8th power. Comparing 3 to the 8th power with B, both have the same base of 3, but the powers are different. B has a larger power, which means that B is larger, so now we can also eliminate D. So now we have a 50% chance of getting the right answer. Now let's focus on options A and B. 8 to the 5th power can be written as 2 to the 3rd power to the 5th power, which is now 2 to the 15th power. Letter B cannot be simplified further, so that is 3 to the 9th power. Here, these two options have different base and different exponents. But if you look at the bases, the bases are almost the same, 2 and 3. But the exponent of 2 is way bigger compared to the exponent of 3. So here, the answer should be letter A. And you can always check this by multiplying 2 by itself 15 times and 3 by itself 9 times. And it's going to be a long process. Question number 16. A water tank contains 18 liters when it is 20% full. How many liters does it contain when 50% full? So the best way to deal with this type of question is to make sense of the problem. If it is 20% full, the tank contains 18 liters. This means that if I make it 10%, which is half, right? It will be 9 liters. So 50% means you simply multiply it, and that gives you 45 liters. So the answer is letter D, 45 liters. Question number 17. The edges of a rectangular solid have these measures 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet, and 3 inches. What is its volume in cubic inches? So in solving this problem, make sure that you remember and memorize this formula if you haven't. Volume of a box or rectangular solid is length times width times height. Also, in this problem, the units are all different, and it's asking for the volume in cubic inches. So this means we need to convert 1.5 feet in inches and 1.5 feet in inches as well. 1 foot is how many inches? 12 inches, right? One way to remember this is think of a 1 foot ruler with 12 inches. So if it's 1.5 feet, that means that will be 18 inches because we have 12 plus half of 12 is 6, so that's 18 total. That means the width is also 18 inches because that's 1.5 feet multiplied by 3 inches. So to calculate for the volume, I will just multiply 18 by 3 first, which is 54. And I will multiply 54 by 18. So 8 times 4 is 32, carry 3. 8 times 5, 40, plus 3 is 43. 1 times 4, 1 times 5. So that means the volume is 972 cubic inches. So the answer is letter C. Question number 18. In a certain school, the ratio of boys to girls is 5:7. If there are 180 boys and girls in the school, how many boys are there? So this type of question, first is to think about the ratio of boys to girls. And in this problem, the ratio is 5:7. Now, what's the ratio of this to the total? means combination of boys and girls. So if you add the 5 and 7, that's gonna be 12 total. The given is also 180 boys and girls combined. So what will you multiply with 12 to get 180? 15, right? That's 180 divided by 12. So you do that by the reverse, which is times 15. To get the number of boys, you simply multiply 5 by 15. 5 times 15 is 75 boys, which is what it's asking in this problem. So the answer is letter D, 75 boys. If it's asking for girls, we can also multiply 7 by 15, and that will be 105. So the answer in this problem is 75 boys. Question number 19. Ruben's grades in 6 subjects are 88, 90, 97, 90, 91, and 86. What is the least grade that he should aim for in the 7th subject if he has to have an average of 88? If the average is 88 and there's 7 subjects, that means the sum of the grades should be equal to 88 times 7. And this will be 56, carry 5, 56 plus 5 is 61. So we know that the sum of the 7 grades must be 616. So all we need to do now is add the 6 numbers, 88 plus 90, plus 97, plus 90, plus 91, and plus 86. So 88 plus 90 is 178. 97 plus 90, 187. 91 and 86, that's 177. So now by adding, that's 15, 22, carry 2, 9 and 15 is 24, carry 2, that's 542. Now we need to subtract 542 from 616. So we have 4 and 7. So that means his 7th grade has to be 74 or better to get an average of 88 or better. Question number 20. On a certain day, 3 computer technicians took turns in manning a 24-hour internet shop. The number of hours Cesar, Bert, and Gani were on duty was in the ratio 3 to 4 to 5 respectively. The shop owner pays them 50 pesos per hour. How much would Gani receive for that day? So here there's 3 people working in the computer shop. We have Cesar, we have Bert, and we have Gani. And the ratio that they work is 3 to 4 through 5. The 24-hour is not split up equally among these 3 people. So to find how many hours they each work, we need to do 24 divided by 12, which is the sum of 3, 4, and 5. So dividing 24 by 12, that means it's 2. Now you need to do 3 times the 2, which is for Cesar. That means 6 hours. For Bert, you need to do 4 times 2, which is 8 hours. And for Gani, 5 times 2, that means 10 hours. And to solve for how much Gani received for that day, we simply multiply 10 hours by 50 pesos because that's the rate, 50 per hour. So this will be 500 pesos, which is letter B. And now here are the answers for questions 11 through 20.